Welcome back, you good-looking devil you. Today, we've got a question about Roth 401ks versus traditional 401ks. But first, if you haven't subscribed, and you probably haven't, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That way you can get every single day a new video straight to your inbox. Let's get to today's question. Roth 401k seems vastly superior. Am I missing something? Hoping you can clarify the traditional 401k or Roth 401k question. You're 30 years old, you make $100,000, very nice. If I max my contribution this year in traditional, call it 20k, you will save roughly 30% between state and local taxes, so savings of 6k, well, a deferral of 6k. In 40 years, when you're 70, that 20k will roughly double 4 times based on a 7% rate of return and will be worth 160. Let's say you're in the 10% tax bracket at that point. You will withdraw it slowly and pay a total tax of 16k. That's not quite how the math should work. Okay, and then number 2, if you max in Roth, you don't save anything on your taxes, but you can withdraw the entire amount tax-free. What are you missing? So you are missing something. Let's jump into a spreadsheet. All right. So I built us a little model here, and on the left side, I put all our inputs. So we got your growth rate, we got how many years we want to look at, and then the important ones: tax rate now and tax rate later. And I assume that they're both 30%, but you'll see how this matters in a minute. And then we look at both scenarios, so 20k into your traditional IRA, and then you'll see we got to make this traditional 401k, and then you'll see we got to make an adjustment for the Roth 401k. So if you put $20,000, the limit's 19.5, but you know that, we're just rounded it up for the sake of the numbers. You put $20,000 in traditional 401k, you get a tax benefit for doing that. To put the same amount into the Roth, you'd have to pay $6,000 of taxes. So you'd actually only end up with $14,000 in the Roth, or you'd have an extra $6,000 after tax to save here, which you could put into a Roth IRA. Now, if you were saving as much as you possibly could, you were getting up to the limits for retirement accounts, and you really wanted to put more money in retirement accounts instead of just investing in a taxable brokerage account, then a Roth does let you put more effective dollars in because they're after tax. So they have the same limit, but the Roth dollars are more effective because no percentage of them belongs to the government, basically. But for people who are not maxing it out, or if you're comfortable investing outside of your 401k, you got to make this adjustment. So after our 40 years of growth at 7%, the traditional 401k ends up with $299,000. The Roth 401k ends up with about $209,000. And then the Roth, you get to keep all of it. Traditional, we got to pay taxes still. So 30% taxes. It gets us to the exact same place. They're totally identical. It doesn't make a lick of difference. It will be a little more efficient to have money in the Roth than it will be to have money outside of the Roth in just a taxable brokerage account, because as you're getting dividends, as you're getting interest in a taxable brokerage account, whatever percentage of the account that is, I'd expect it to be like 2 or 3 a year. That is going to be taxable, probably at long-term capital gains rates, not at a very high rate, but it is going to be taxable. So that's the difference. And just to prove it to you, so even if it's 8%, we get a bigger number, but they're still identical. Even if it's 50 years, you get a bigger number, but it's still identical. The thing that can change this is if your tax rate now is lower than your tax rate later, the Roth makes more sense. If your tax rate later is lower than the tax rate now, traditional 401k makes sense. I hope that helped you thinking about the difference between traditional and the Roth 401k, and understand why one might be better than the other, and understanding the tax implications. Because really it boils down to, is your tax rate later going to be higher or lower than your tax rate now? For almost everybody, that's the biggest question to ask themselves.